Welcome back to another episode of This Genre Refuses to Die. Yes, today we're making Synthwave. With a mild resurgence after the movie Drive aired, this genre drove itself repeatedly into our ear holes after we heard it in the intro to Stranger Things. Don't forget that this episode is sponsored by DistroKid, and you can visit the link in the description for a discount, but I have more words on them at the end of the episode. Let's go down to my colleague and let's talk about Synthwave. Thank you, buddy. Okay, guys, so Synthwave. 1 second. That's so much better. Let's jump straight into it. One of the first things that you're going to notice is that we've kind of got these subgroups. And this is because I wanted to separate my melodic group and my drum group being fed into a group that I've, for some reason, called the daddy group. The melodic group just has the sidechain compressor on it. The drum group, obviously just a bit of EQ, but I wanted to feed everything in to the same RC20 so I could control the parameters there. And then what we're gonna do at the very end of everything is resample that melodic group onto a separate track to add another instance of RC20 and pitch it down. So straight off the bat, let's look at the drum selection. Super basic, just kick, snare, kick, snare. And on the right-hand side there, you might be wondering, well, what are these numbers? And that's just to remind me how many steps the audio samples are pitched down. Obviously, when we're making synthwave, we don't want big, bright drums. So the drum group is very simple. I haven't done any compression. I haven't really sent anything to a reverb send. Nothing too crazy, just subtractive EQs. So we're just working with kind of the mid region of frequencies. And the only thing that I've done with the kick is made sure that every other kick is quieter. So any kick that plays with the snare is just a little bit less punchy, but we still have the warmth of the kick there. The snare is coupled with a little clap with a really harsh telephone EQ. And I've just added the Haas effect, so this is a little wider. My hi-hats have the most going on with the EQ8, saturator, and the compressor. Without the saturator and the compressor, this is what the hi-hats sound like. So still quite bright, even though the EQ is there. When we add the saturator, notice how the sample is shifted to the left a little bit, but is also darker. It has a lot of noise there. And then of course the compressor is just routed to the kick, adding that pumping sidechain feel. And that's my drum selection all the way through. Let's just move on to the meat and potatoes of this project. So classic Stranger Things, glissando down into our main chord progression. And I'm just using this serum bass patch that I got from Splice, and the envelope is controlling the cutoff for the filter and also the wavetable position and the bend of the synth. And I did the same thing with the next analog synth as well. I pinched this sound from a Julian Earl tutorial a couple of years ago. I just thought it was a brilliant little patch. Shouts to him for this one. With Ableton's analog synth, I'm just using the sawtooth wave and the square tooth wave on oscillator 2 there. And you can see that with the filters, I'm just automating the frequency, the attack, and the decay. And this is what's gonna allow my synth to breathe. You can see here all the parameters that I've automated. Again, just to give some movement and some life to this synth. And you can hear RC20 hissing away there. I've added some RC20 parameters, everything apart from the wobble, because don't forget, it's also going to be resampled and we're going to add some more wobble after to give that VHS sound. It's the only parameter, as well as the reverb, that I haven't switched on. If we scroll to the right, I have RC20, chorus, reverb, EQ, a drum bus, compressor, and the auto pan. And the auto pan's just giving it some width at the end of the middle bar. If we take those parameters off, this is what it sounds like. So still pretty nice, but it doesn't have the same character. And if you're wondering about the chords, I've kept it very simple. We'll just have this basic chord here, and then I would add the octave on top. And you can see that these two notes play throughout the piece, but all I'm doing is just borrowing notes from the below chord and adding them on top throughout. So it's very, very simple. I'm just using a basic rule and then taking some of the bottom notes and putting them on top to create some different sounding chords. And I do the exact same thing with the chords below, and they just play every other 4 bars. The only thing that I've added to this, which is different from the chords above, is I'm using a Serum Vaporwave patch from Splice. I'm not using RC20, but I am using the hybrid reverb, and this is just gonna add an octave kind of twinkle and shimmer to my chord underneath. Have a listen to this. So that just plays every now and then with the chords above. So you get this kind of call and response pattern. Moving on to the melody, kept it super simple. I'm using the same analog preset without the automation and with a quicker decay to the first chord sequence that we looked at. It just plays the same pattern over and over again. Similar to the above chord shape, we just don't have the RC20 or the hybrid reverb. And the thing that I really like is this serum pad underneath. I'm just automating the auto pan on this. So we have, again, a serum pad from Splice, but once again, I'm just using it for ease, so I don't have to stress about creating, wavetables, messing around with envelopes. I'm adding a saturator. The sidechain compressor is obviously just ducking away as the kick drums play. Then the EQ8, a limiter, and then the auto pan. And notice how the auto pan is being automated. And what we're doing with the automation is just creating a tremolo effect at the end of the 4-bar sequence. Notice here how the chords do this as well as the ghost chords that I have underneath. And that means as we get to the end of this sequence, everybody's kind of LFOing and tremoloing together. And that really gives that kind of worn out tape feel. I really, really like that. The bass is not doing anything too special with the saturator, the compressor with the sidechain on, and the EQ8 there. Notice how I've rolled off some of those muddy notes. I'm prepared to be pitching this down, so I don't want loads going on in the sub bass region. And my bass is actually playing in quite a high register. You can see C4 here. So, and this is just playing a polyrhythmic pattern under the main chord sequence. You might be able to hear some automation going on there as well. So I've just got this serum fill mix moving down like 4%, so you can hear some of that buzzing coming through. And then just the EQ8 filtering out some of that high buzz towards the end of each 8-bar sequence. Notice how it sounds all a bit weird right now. So that's why it goes into my melodic family. I'm throwing everything in this RC20 group. Once I had that, what I did is I set up a new resample track, record arm, and I just recorded in that melodic section. And once I had it there, I double clicked, and you can see here, I pitched it down 4 semitones. Now there's many different ways to do this. Some of you may be asking why I didn't transpose those notes just in the first place to save doing this resample method. And the reason is because it goes to an RC20 group. If you don't have RC20, visit the Patreon. You can download my low-fire effects rack and you'll get some similar presets from that. What you're getting from this top group here is that kind of detuned effect, right? That tape warp feel. And then when I resample it and pitch it down, that tape warp is moving at a different rate. I'm adding RC20 yet again, and you can see that once again, we've got the wobble turned on with 9% wobble rate there. And this is just going to keep that wobble working against itself. So you just get this really strange warped feel, just that kind of analog detune sound rather than it being, you know, just some electronic instruments that you've rounded off with the EQ and added RC20 to. All I've done right at the end here is add Pro Q2, and then just in this group here, I've got my effects, which is just some crashes and then some noise sweeps there. That's all that's going on. I add my drums and we're left with the final track. I'll let this track play out, but if you've enjoyed this video, do give the video a like and a subscribe. Let me know in the comments what you want to see in future. Sorry to interrupt. If you want to download the stems to this project, you can go to 0800 Patreon and you can get the entire project. That's 0800 Patreon. So there we have it, guys. Yet another retro genre that refuses to die. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, this episode is brought to you by DistroKid. When you've finished your VHS sounding retro tune, you're gonna wanna release it somewhere. And there's nobody better to release your tune with than DistroKid. They make it so easy to release your music on all of the streaming platforms. This includes Apple, Spotify, Amazon, and more. And with their Visi and promo card functions, it's even easier to make your music look more nostalgic and grainy than ever before. Make sure you visit the link in the description below so you can get a discount. As always, anything else that I've mentioned in this episode or previous can also be found in the description. For now, guys, I thank you so much and I'll see you next time.